You finished your PhD, now what? Are you gonna do a postdoctoral position? If so, in this video, I'm going to talk about what postdoc is, and also I'll share about my experience, how I got a postdoctoral fellow position and how it helped me to get a faculty job. What is a postdoc? Postdoctoral scholar, postdoctoral fellow, or just postdoc? This is not a study or degree. It's a transitional position that helps you to get to other careers later, but most importantly, to a faculty position. So who needs to have a postdoc position? Definitely the first group is the people who would like to have a faculty position, an assistant, associate, professor, or just work in academia. Secondly, people who would like to go into research-based startup or company. They also sometimes choose to do a postdoc, or those people who would like to go into research industry position, being a supervisor, R&D, head of a laboratory. Fellow position is a transitionary position. It's a bridge that helps you to gain experience, to establish yourself as an independent researcher, and also just gives you a bit of time to be more confident about your research skills and establishing research position later on. If you've watched my video about a hustle culture, I've talked about how I got my postdoc position after finishing my PhD. Week that I defended, exact same time, a new position opened up at Nazarbayev University, where I'm currently a faculty member of. And during that time, I applied and I went through several steps to get a postdoc position. Briefly, it comprised of 4 interviews where I presented my PhD project. It was easy. Now that I had just defended my PhD degree, I had already prepared my presentation, so I just presented the complete slides to an interview panel. It went through fast. Benefits of a postdoc are plenty, in my opinion. The most important, it allows you to establish yourself as an independent researcher. So during my postdoc, I was able to apply for research grants, develop and suggest my own research ideas in these research proposals. And luckily, 2 of the proposals that I applied and prepared, both of them were successful, and I became a principal investigator of 2 large grants in the amount of about $200,000 that both of them last for 3 years. And during that time, I was able to establish my research group and hire students, research assistants, and be a principal investigator. In that sense, this postdoctoral scholar position really helped me to gain a lot of experience, and later on helped me to get an assistant professor position, because I already showed myself that I was doing pretty well as an independent researcher. And that's majorly what the main aim or goal of doing a postdoc is. Why and when we need to do a postdoc? As I mentioned, if you're staying in academia, if you'd like to gain some research experience, if you need to publish a little bit, you need more time to have publications in your field, and you would like to switch specialization and you'd like to gain some research knowledge or experience in a specifically new field, and those are the reasons why you could do a postdoctoral fellow position. Now, regarding the duration of a postdoc, in the US, typically postdoc positions last for 2 years, 2-3. In Europe, what I see is a typical postdoc position could last long. I've met one person who was doing postdoc even for 10 years. However, the word of warning, doing a postdoc position for long does not look good on your CV, because later employers may question why this person was stuck in a postdoc position, because it's a transitionary position. It is not meant to be a full-time, very long academic career on its own. It's only for you to get some knowledge, gain experience, and transition to a new job. So when postdoc is not right, if you are unsure whether you'd like to do research overall, then there's no point, because the main purpose of postdoc is doing research. Second, if you do not have financial stability, because typically postdoc in the States is paid very little. I will touch upon it in a few seconds. And also, don't just get a postdoc because you don't have any other jobs if you are not sure, because that way you'd be a placeholder and you'd be taking somebody else's position, somebody else who would be more interested and can benefit the system in a better way, right? So regarding pay, in the US, postdocs are not paid well. I had a friend who was very, very experienced, and he already had industry position, and he kind of missed research, wanted to go back to academia, and through negotiation, he was able to bump up the salary up to $70,000 per year, and that's a lot already for postdoc. However, it's not enough to have it in certain cities, like in New York. It's quite difficult to have a normal life and have some savings with such salary. Typically, postdoc in the US could be paid $50,000-$65,000 per year. In Europe, postdoc salaries are higher depending on the program, of course. It's all varies, but a lot of people, because of the good enough pay, they decide to stay in these postdoc positions for a very long time. And as I said, in Europe, postdoc lasts 3 to 5 years. I cannot comment about the Asian countries, but typically in academia, postdocs are not paid that well, not like in industry. So how to make the most of your postdoc? I suggest, because postdoc is a transitionary position, always keep in mind what the postdoc is for you. In my case, I knew I'd like to continue in academia, so I knew postdoc is a transitioner, and from the start I already knew that I'm going to be applying for an assistant professor position in a couple of years, and so I kept that in mind. So for me, it was not much different doing postdoc and later transitioning to assistant professor position. So depending on your end goal, you already need to be doing those tasks that would make the point C closer. Point A is currently right now as being a PhD graduate. Point B is a postdoc position, and point C is what you'd like to do after postdoc. So depending what your point C is, switch your postdoc year tasks, align well with point C in your postdoc years. So if you're going to be transitioning to industry and you need publication for point C, then make sure to focus on that during your postdoc. If you're going to academia, then you know that you need some teaching experience, so try to get some kind of additional teaching job or volunteer somewhere to gain that experience, do the publications, whatever the point C requires. What are the alternatives for postdoctoral position? These could be R&D jobs, lecturer positions, some work for NGOs, for startups. So postdocs could be beneficial for all of those, just because the postdoc gives you some additional experience, gives you time to become more confident. That's it for now. If you'd like to book one-on-one meetings, DM me in my LinkedIn or Instagram profile. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.